the brief came through the manager, through the producer we had, Simon Fields, and it was really that he'd seen Don't You Want Me as one of the earliest videos on MTV. I think he'd watched the beginning of MTV, saw Don't You Want Me, and he liked it because, unlike the other videos, it looked more cinematic. It looked more like a piece of cinema. It felt, we shot it on 35mm, and that was my whole thing, was let's make it really about cinema and be cinematic. And he really liked that. So he wanted Billie Jean to be cinematic. He felt it was a cinematic soundtrack, and he wanted it to be magical in some way, so a little unreal. And the manager said, look, he's really into Peter Pan, that sort of thing. Can it be a magical story? And there was this idea that I used to do brainstorming with Danny Kleinman, who became a big music video director and commercial director and everything. And we kind of brainstormed an idea to do the Midas touch for a Joan Armour trading video about maybe 5 months earlier. And I still had that idea, and it didn't work for her. It wasn't right for that song. And it was stuck in my head. And so for this song, it felt like, if this is a sort of magical character. He is, in a lot of ways, already a sort of a magical character that is kind of slightly off-human in a way. He's got it's like a cat. He's like, he moves like, not like most humans move. And so it felt like do something like that, where the Midas touch, where everything this character comes near lights up. And also, when I spoke to him, he said, I asked him where does it come from? And he said, I just read it in a newspaper, about this character, Billie Jean. And he'd say it was a story in a newspaper. So it became about the newspaper as well. He didn't really, there weren't any ideas as such that he put into it. When I got to LA, we'd written and faxed the script. They'd approved the budget, and they wanted to go ahead. But the first thing I did when I got to LA was sit down with him and show him the storyboard of how it would all come together, the video and the frames that we'd be using in the various places. And he just took it all in and just enjoyed how it would be. And then he did suggest another scene, which was I thought was a great idea, which was a dancing scene where these characters came alive, but they were, instead of lit up, they were mannequins that came alive, and they danced behind him down the street, which I thought was a fantastic idea. And he said, we can get choreography, and I said, that'd be amazing. But when we went to the record company with that idea, and the cost implication of that idea, which was only $5,000, I remember, which we spent the time. They said, no, you're getting $50,000 to do this video. Well, you're not getting any more. That's it. And we couldn't absorb that, because actually we weren't making any markup on it anyway. So we couldn't absorb it. So we couldn't do the idea. So I presumed that they would tell Michael this. But I think to this day, he thinks I kiboshed the idea. But, obviously he's not with us anymore. But I saw an interview with him where he felt that I'd not let him dance, which I was staggered by, because I had in the storyboards we did, I'd been told that he'd practiced a dance in front of the mirror. So we'd left 2 choruses for him to dance. So we clearly storyboarded with him, didn't know how to depict him dancing, but they were proper choruses, long chapters of it. So, but I think it was because the record company cleverly swerved the extra money by you blaming me possibly for not wanting to do something that was going to cost extra money, So, but who knows? I don't know the full story of that. But there was a funny phone call from him the night before we shot, where he rang up. I was in the Chateau Marmont, and I was rang in the hotel, and he was like, Steve, you know what? Let's not do the dancing. And and I had already gone. We weren't doing it because we didn't have the money to do it. And I said, okay. And I could have said, you're not doing it because we weren't given, we weren't allowed to do it. But anyway, we left it at that. And I presume that then they'd sort of come and said, okay, do the dancing on Beat It, do it on the next, do it from here, leave the video how it is, you know.
Well, one thing that I find really fascinating about that video, it sort of references to me, and I don't know if that's true, you remember the Jacksons' Can You Feel It, where they're almost gods and they're, you know, you mentioned the Midas touch, but they're throwing down gold dust over the world. And there's sort of demigods or something in this video, which Michael was in as well. And also Saturday Night Fever, when John Travolta dances on the lit up dance floor, but different. He's not in charge of the dance floor, whereas Michael was in charge of, you know, the lit dance floor that you'd created for Billie Jean. Were they reference points for you, or is that just coincidence?
I think that's more coincidence. That the Saturday Night Fever, I don't remember being in the thinking at all. The gold dust on the videos, maybe some of that sunk in watching it, but I'm not sure. I felt we were trying to do something that you hadn't really seen before, and that was so. The paving stones, I didn't really reference over anything. They were just kind of, you know, this is just a piece of magic that I hadn't really seen as far as I could remember. But yeah, you're right. There's Saturday Night Fever, of course. In fact, we did the Adam and the Ants video, the Ant music video, and that was more Saturday Night Fever. That was Adam Ant saying, look, I want to do that thing in Saturday Night Fever when, you know, you got this and it was the only underlit dance floor in London at the time. Can't remember the name of the club, but yeah, we managed to get it, shoot it there.
Yeah, I think I went to that club. It was a gay club.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. No, I can't remember what it's called. It had some really tacky name. I forgot what it's called. But I remember loving dancing on that dance floor after Saturday Night Fever. Yeah. But one thing that I think really comes out in both the Jackson video and Madonna's Burning Up, which you did, is their star quality, if I can call it that, where when Jackson looks at the camera, when he dances and he looks at the camera in Billie Jean, I mean, there is this amazing connection that you get with him. And when Madonna's, you know, writhing, I think is it on a bridge? And when she's, you know, sort of crawling around on the bridge or whatever and looking at the camera, you get that as well. What do you think these really phenomenal, successful pop stars have that others don't?
Stardust quality. I mean, it's very hard to put your finger on it, but you do see it. I mean, you kind of, when I met Madonna, I felt it was there. When I saw Michael in particular in that studio doing his thing, you just have this otherworldly star, David Bowie as well, you know, that isn't, and mere mortals don't really have. It's very hard to describe it, and it's kind of a feeling. And I suppose you know them already because you've known them on TV, lit, and but often, you know, you meet people and they're not quite what they were on television, actors, everything, and but with certain people like Madonna and Michael Jackson, they were on or off the camera there. They were built to be stars.
I mean, another staple of MTV was Take On Me, which is also a phenomenal video with this animation aspect at the start. And at the end, it's creating the sex symbol out of Morten Harket, in a sense, that he breaks through the glass, the animation figure breaks through the glass, and suddenly there he is in all his sweating, beautiful glory, as it were. And you've created a sex symbol. Was he comfortable with doing that? Because I've met him a few times, interviewed him a few times, and went around his house, and I always felt that he poo-pooed the aspect of his looks because he wanted also to be taken seriously. And as a band, they're really taken seriously today. But at that point, they were more of a sort of pop throwaway band. So was that something that came into the discussion with Take On Me?
No, because it was too early, really. He didn't really know. He hadn't become that sex symbol yet. It wasn't until after the video, really, that he that it all hit and went crazy for him, like a teen idol. And that messed with anybody's head. But that hadn't happened yet. So, you know, when we were shooting the video, we were just doing a video. So he wasn't relating that to being a sex symbol, because he didn't know, and he was quite young and a bit naive in a way about, it felt like, about girls. I don't think he'd had a real relationship at that point with a girl. And I mean, I'm sure he wasn't a virgin, but you know, he didn't feel like he that was necessarily something that was at the front of his mind. He just actually would be happy to, you know, to belt out that song and do it for real. And, you know, even miming to it, he wanted to show that this is what he could do. That's what he was proud of, was being a singer. And that you know, the sex symbol thing then hit on such a big tidal wave. Thousands of screaming girls and front covers of all these magazines, and then it was a big question of like, this isn't what I was putting out there. This is not what I'd meant it to be, and nor ever thought it could become. But it came with the territory.